Hey, it's Dr. Amanda with Straightsmile Solutions, straightsmilesolutions.com, and it came to my attention yesterday that I didn't explain in any videos the difference between a Kobayashi hook and a ligature tie, be it long or short. So I apologize for that. I just wanted to clarify the difference. I know to the layperson it looks pretty darn similar, this to this and this to this, but they're totally different in orthodontics. So let me explain it to you. So first you got the Kobayashi hooks. These are used as an add-on hook. So sometimes you order brackets that have hooks, sometimes you don't, depends on what you order. Hooks are nice because you can use them for elastics, but hooks are not nice because they bother the patient and they do cost a little bit more money. So unless you know you need it, sometimes you don't have them. On the brackets that I have, they've always had standard hooks on my canines. And sometimes they have them on the premolars and sometimes they don't. And that's usually where it is. But sometimes you need a hook on a front tooth. So, and often you need it on the premolars. So, if you need a hook and you don't have one, this is where the Kobayashis come in. See this little hooky thing right here? So it's going to work similar to a ligature tie, but a totally different function. This is for hooking an elastic on, okay? Now this is a ligature tie, long, short, okay? Totally different. So a ligature tie can be used for a bazillion different things, and I'm not going to go into that right now. If you want to know what lig ties are, there's a few synonyms for ligature ties. Steel ties, ligature ties, a long tie, lace back ties, okay? Those are the four different, and I use them synonymously throughout my channel. So I try to use them all as much as possible. So long one can be used to, instead of an O-ring, instead of a rubber O-ring, but I normally don't use the long one for that. I use the long ones, I mean, you can, but to me that's a lot more work and not as effective. Long ones I use for under tie, lace back, long tie. And if you don't know what that is, look it up within my channel. To do that, you go to Straightsmile Solutions YouTube channel, search by keyword, probably just go to the Straightwire playlist, and there's a bazillion videos about this. The shorties I use for, let's say there's a situation where I have a tooth that's really rotated and I try to put the rubber O-ring on, and I even try to do a figure 8 rubber O-ring and it's just not fully engaging. Of course, first thing you do whenever that happens is you're like, is my wire too thick? Should I bump down a wire? But let's say you're in the lightest possible wire, which is a 12 or sometimes a 14, depending on what you have in stock, and you still can't get it fully engaged. Well, that's where the steel tie comes in. And there's an art to putting on steel ties. You need to practice it on a type of nut before you do it on a patient, because if you do it too rough, you'll break the bracket or hurt the patient. If you do it too soft, it's not going to work. So definitely practice. Also remember that your ligature ties or Kobayashi hooks, but more the ligature ties, usually comes in a couple different gauges. I believe it's 0.08, 0.10, and 0.12. I believe. I mean, you're going to have to look at whatever ortho distributor you order from, or I even have these on my Amazon shopping channel. If you go to my website and go to products, you'll see those. But so for ligature ties, I'm going to try to err on the lighter side, because if you have it too thick of a gauge, you're not going to be able to snake it all in there. So sometimes the 0.08 is a little bit too flexible. I normally stock the 0.10. Yeah, the middle one. That's just me personally. You need to see what works in your hands and in the hands of your team. But I tend to stay on like middle to light for the gauge for this. But for this, I'm definitely going to be middle to heavier because I need it to be super strong, okay? So 0.10 to 0.12. So that's just my personal preference. So again, I have some how-to videos on how to put these on, when to use them, indications for use. But most likely the best thing for you to do if you want to learn to do this stuff is to check out our classes. We have a Straightwire class. Granted, it's just a mashup of all of our YouTube videos on Straightwire, but in a logical order, and it kind of breaks it out like bracket placement, class 2 cases, elastics, things like that. Diagnosis, obviously that's not the order I put it in, but in a logical way. You can totally, I'm not trying to sell that. It comes with 14 units CE, which is great. You can get CE, right? CE costs me money to get, and it takes me money to produce, and people have to administer it and all that, and the quizzes and all that. So I can't give that to you for free, sorry. Sometimes I have free CE courses, but that's only if they're sponsored. So if money's short for you and you just want to learn, that's why I throw it all up in my YouTube channel. But of course, it's not going to be a logical order because it's going to be in the way that I tape it. And I just tape it as I come. You guys make a suggestion, I make a video, and YouTube sticks them wherever they want. So That's pretty much it. So that's the difference between the long and the short Kobayashi ties, and what type of gauge to get and how to use them. Hopefully that helps. Thanks. Oh, and for the Kobayashi, I only use the long. I don't use the short, but that's just me. And it goes under the wire. And this also goes under the wire. Okay? Under the wire, ties on top. Okay? Oh, under the wire, ties on top. This one, under the wire, if you're lace back long tying, ties on top or chain on top. This is the tie in this situation. So if you put it, you're not gonna be able to put a tie on top of it. It's decorative. And you could also use these instead of ties on all the mouth. Like if the patient is traveling, like going abroad for months or something, and you just want it basically works almost like a, what do you call it? The Damon braces, like it's not going to loosen up. It's not going to break. It's not going to fall off. So, I mean, this is old school. This is how they did things 50, 40 years ago. They just put these on, they put a wire in, put these on, and let the patient go for months and months and months and months. You don't have to change them. When the wire's passive, you cut them all off. Big pain. But, and then you put the next wire in. But it can save you a lot of time if the patient's traveling to use these. It's just super time consuming to put it on and take it off. All right, thanks.